Hey everyone, I'm Sakura Marazan, currently studying MBA in Holmes Institute Brisbane campus. Today I'm here in front of you guys to give a short presentation on the topic cash flow and income statement analysis regarding three given companies which are BHP, Santos and Funtastic Limited Company as for the three financial year 2017, 2018 and 2019. In this topic, I have explained about the usefulness of cash flow and income statement to the investors, some of the sources of cash, and also mentioned some of the trends on capital expenditure, cash flow, net borrowing, dividend, working capital, etc. And finally, some of the financial strengths of the companies. So now I would like to begin my presentation starting from a short introduction on cash flow statement and income statement. As we know that companies identify their areas of strength and shortcomings by analyzing cash flow and income statement and also the way to make the company operate on a sustainable basis. The company need to focus on the operating activities which makes the income statement related to the cash flow statement. Also, under the income statement, companies can calculate their assets and liability and make profit, whereas from cash flow statement, the companies can track the cash flow, which means they can track cash inflows and cash outflow, which is helpful for the companies or investors to consider their cash producing skills. So so companies typically find it essential to reduce bankruptcy through monitoring the liquidity level of the assets and liabilities. Next, I would like to talk about the usefulness of cash flow and income statement to the investors. As we know that for profit-oriented companies, the cash flow statement becomes central in monitoring the progress of the operation. Income and cash flow statement both are very important and vital for each and every investor while making the decision, because the statement puts forward the big strength and weaknesses of the companies, which helps investor to find or which helps investor to choose which investment option is better for the company and also for the future. Also, other information like sources of cash, when to pay debt, and distribution of dividend, etc., are available to the investors, which allows them to understand their financial position. Next, I would like to talk about the sources of cash. We all know that each and every company have different and various sources of cash. Like for example, BHP company. BHP company have different sources of cash like trade and dividend receivable. And as for the Santos company, the source of cash may be received from customer, whereas for the Fantastic company, the source of cash are interest and investment received. As we can see that each companies have different sources of cash and each company has multiple obligation. The company uses cash in order to effect royalty payment, taxes, borrowing costs, dividends, and also borrowing repayments. So in each and every businesses, it is always challenging to generate cash as companies usually have standing obligation to cover this effect. Next is uh, trend on cash flow. As we know that the cash flow trend mainly focuses on the cash inflows and cash outflows. So the companies always need to focus on their cash inflows and cash outflows. Considering BHP Limited and the Santos Limited, we can see that the cash flow trend exhibits on an increasing or on an rising trend, which means that they have their cash inflow and outflows are increasing regarding or across the 3 financial year. But as for the Fantastic company, we can see that there is a negative trend, which means that there is a decline on the cash inflow and outflow. So, so the so this means that the Fantastic company had a non-uniform pattern of gas flow, and this means the cash flow regarding these companies are different. Next, I would like to talk about the items that affect the cash flow. Various things impacts business cash flow, which business cash flow, like for example of BSP company, the the thing that influenced the cash flow was cost of inventories, trade receivable and payable, depreciation, amortization, etc. But as for Santos company, the cash flow was influenced by the proceeds from sale of non-current assets or properties, whereas for the Fantastic company, we can see that the cash flow was affected or impacted by the funding expenses, payments to staff, consumer and investment taxes, etc. So here we can see that each company's cash flow were affected by various items. Next is about the trend on capital expenditure. The trend in capital expenditure can be explained by the changes in purchasing capital goods costs. For example, purchase of goods, purchase of plant, purchase of equipment, purchase of land, machine, property, etc., which reflects capital expenses. Like analyzing the capital expenses for BSP Limited and for Santos Company, the expenditure had an increasing trend from 2017 through 2019. But for the Fantastic Limited company, the capital expenditure was declining in 2017 and again in 2018 and also in 2019. Then talking on the trend on dividend, the trend on dividend can be analyzed by how much dividend the company have earned and how much dividend they have paid for these 3 financial year. Uh, as we can see, the dividend received by BHP Limited initially increased in 2017 to 2018, but in 2019 it faced a decline. as as indicated to Santos, we can observe that there was a fluctuating pattern regarding the dividend earned and paid. But as for Fantastic Limited company, the dividends were not earned or paid any. Next is on trend on net borrowing. Talking on net borrowing trend, BSP and Santos, both the company had a high debt obligation, but as for the Fantastic Limited company, the net borrowing was rising, which means that the company had very few debt obligation. Finally, I would like to talk about the financial strength. While analyzing a company's financial strength, different factors are considered. Like we need to consider the profitability, how much profit will we get, or how much profit will they gain. Then debt ratio, revenue growth, and also liquidity. Firstly, let's talk about the BHP company. We can see the financial strength of the BHP company is shown positive, which means that, or which indicates that this company has generated enough revenue from its operation, like which cover debt-related expenses and also earned a lot of profit. But for Santos Limited Company and for Fantastic Limited Company, the financial strength is weak, which means that their financial strength was too low, maybe because of the cash outflows or because of the massive debt obligation. Now, to end my presentation, I would like to say that, or I would like to conclude that it is very essential for each and every company to assess their strength and weaknesses in strategic planning. And also, I would like to say that each and every company should use income statement and cash flow statement so that they can analyze, or they can assess how much income they have earned or how much income they have invested on, and also they can analyze the cash inflows and outflows. Thank you.